Equipment would be the 3 laptops and radio, and then miscellaneous equipment that the police department has every year.
Okay, well, it just didn't add up to be as much as I thought was in the budget, so I thought there should be some extra there. So I think those are both generous amounts. Well, I am adamantly against adding an officer, so that's my stance on that.
Agreed.
I'm still just trying to figure out what they do from midnight to 6 a.m. I mean, I just don't want to, I don't want to think that we're paying somebody that kind of money just to sit in here and watch movies.
I don't think we are. If you look at what we've been doing here lately, we've seen a number of drug arrests happening. The guys are out patrolling.
No, that's, again, I'm talking after midnight,
Yes, that's what I'm
Monday
talking
through
about.
Friday,
The
before
one-
the weekend comes and all this stuff's going on.
Oh,
5 days a week, you got 2 guys on there from midnight to 6 o'clock.
There,
And we've all been out here and there's not a lot happening around here at that kind of time. And we've all drove by and see the cars parked right here at night.
sure, probably have. They got paperwork to do, they need to get it done. I hope they're not in watching TV. That's something I don't want to see happen.
that's the optimal time for them to go through apartments to make traffic stops. Generally, it seems like they do paperwork from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. towards the end of the shift.
Yes.
Could be a little longer depending on how active of a
It is,
shift
you
they've
know.
had. But
Because that's when I
I wasn't born last night, all right, man?
I've been out there and seen
I'm
it.
not born, I've been around in this building for a few years now. I wasn't born last night, that's not all that goes on around here from 3 to 6 a.m. We all know it, we've all been in here, we all know what's going on. It's my problem with the whole thing. I don't want anybody to have to work alone, but I also don't want to pay out a bunch of money for somebody to sit around at night because there ain't nothing happening in this small town at 3 to 6 in the morning. That's a lot of money for somebody just, I don't know why you can't fill that with a part-time on the busiest part of the night and not have to go full-time.
Like on the weekends and
6
stuff.
p.m. when the busy time's there till midnight, when stuff happens. That's why I'd like to know how many calls actually come out that we service after midnight.
That can be obtained from the sheriff's department.
That'd show me right there, that could shut me up if I just knew that we're really out there doing something other than what I assumed is being done.
I'm sorry to bring that information with me. That, as Councilman Stewart said, that certainly could be obtained.
Further discussion. So if the council doesn't want to add an 8th officer, that would reduce the patrolman first class line item to $259,425. That would be a 2% raise for first class patrolman at 5 first class patrolmen. As sergeant, would be a 2% raise of $53,110. Clothing would be reduced from the proposed amount of $7,000 to $4,000. I would ask that the council increase overtime from my proposal of $4,000 to $7,000, and part-time from my proposal of $4,500 to $9,000. As I reduce those line items to reflect decreased costs in part-time and overtime for having that 8th officer.
You said the first class was 259 what?
$425. And that's based off of your 87, 84.
Overtime to 7.
Correct.
Part-time to 9.
Correct.
What do you say?
Goes back to what it was in 18.
Clothing to 4. There's one line item that we haven't discussed. That's my recommendation that the chief receive. It's an 8% raise. Would put him at an hourly rate equivalent to the other department heads for the city of Delphi. So the water superintendent, street superintendent, and sewer superintendent at a rate of, I put it in the budget proposal, $27.24 an hour. Chief is based off of 40 hours per week, so a total of 2,080 hours a year.
It's an uncomfortable moment for me, Mayor. I
You're
appreciate what you
welcome to
do.
leave if you would
I
like.
would like to.
I would like to say this first, that I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I'm quite satisfied with what I'm making. So, I don't really see you do something else for the guys and me. And with that, thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, chief. No discussion on chief's salary.
I have no problem if it should be the same as the rest of the superintendent, I think, leader of the department.
I think we could phase it in somehow, but I don't think that we need to give an 8% raise.
What would you suggest?
I think 2% across the board was what we agreed with last year. I think that we ought
That
to
still
pick-
leaves him 8% below what the rest of the superintendents, water, sewage.
Yeah, right.
and-
there's some
And they're out here
experience
protecting
there
our
that-
community, so
Well,
why would you not pay the man that protects us the same you pay the guy that takes care of your water?
And the other superintendents are eligible for overtime, while chief historically has not elected to use any overtime dollars. So that 56,660, that's proposed, that's the most he would make next year.
Without overtime.
Correct. At 27.24 an hour, at 28 hours.
No, I think we should align them with the other department heads, to be fair.
Number one, I thought it was 2712 for 2%. But I just,
What was your suggestion, Carolyn, on a percentage?
Well, I think it could be phased in and maybe, you know, I can't help but go back to when that Professor Larry DeBoer came to explain to the county the decrease in property taxes and how it would affect the amounts that the various entities receive. And if he said it once, he said it 10 times, how Delphi, the city of Delphi, is the highest taxing unit and in Carroll County, and actually one of the highest in the state of Indiana. And, you know, we're looking at water increases that are astronomical. I think we have to look at a lean budget. I think we're irresponsible if we don't look at a lean budget. People can only afford to pay so much, and, you know, these proposals seem irresponsible to me.
These proposals combined for less than last year's by approximately $150,000 when estimated revenue, I think, is about $300,000 more than I proposed. By decreasing line items, we are not necessarily lowering the property tax rate. To lower the property tax rate, we would have to not take our maximum levy, which our maximum levy has stayed the same for the last 3 or 4 years, I would assume, ever since the county went on a levy freeze. So I don't believe that by lowering line items, that you're lowering property taxes unless we change the maximum levy we want to receive, which if the county continues its property tax freeze, we can't increase in the future.
Well, that's true, and it's very much true. It's not going to reduce property taxes. I think we all know that. But the fact of the matter is, when you're expecting water rate payers to suck in 140% increase on their water bill, how do you think that looks to them? When we're, you know, not being as lean as we could be. Just because it's lower than last year's doesn't mean that it's the best it could be.
I mean, I've had several people come up to me and say, you know, to urge me to be very vigilant of the budget, you know, this, I think,
The city of Delphi has been more likely than not the most vigilant city in the state of Indiana with budgets for the last 10 years, maybe longer. I mean, our cash and investments in the bank that we have compared to our general fund budget was the highest of any city in the state last year at the conclusion of 2017. At some point, we are taxing our citizens and not providing them with services that we're taxing them for. With anticipate to have $3 million in the general fund budget at the end of this year, if we spent all of our appropriations that we have from this year, it's not, isn't going to happen.
That's a good point. So why don't we utilize some of this money and not spend it on some of these line items, and why don't we go after a creative way to get this water solution solved without having to borrow $13.5 million?
So you want
Well, trust me, there's creative ways to do that.
to use general fund dollars to fund the utility?
You can borrow back and forth as long as you pay it off within a year. You can do this, you can do that, you can stagger stuff. You can do all kinds of things if you're creative enough and still be legal. But to just look at it and say, okay, here's this pot of money and here's this pot of money, this one's pretty full and this one's pretty empty, so we need to go out and borrow this amount of money. The citizens don't necessarily understand that, and I think it just makes us look terrible.
I agree that there are some things we could do, and that's probably a proposal that's going to come in 2 weeks, using some general fund dollars instead of a bond anticipation note so that we could secure some contracts and pay for everything that needs to be done prior to issuing the bond, because there's legal work, financial work, engineering work that needs done.
Is that to reduce the amount of bond you're going after?
No, because we still have to pay the general fund back.
And there's the point.
What point?
You're still trying to borrow 13.5 million while you're still trying to increase a lot of these line items, and it's like she said, it's irresponsible. I don't know anybody that runs their house like that.
So what's the proposal for chief of police?
I could propose, well, I'll let somebody else.
I still think it makes no sense not to having people with all the superintendents we already paid out of no money. It's been making sense to stretch it out over 3 or 4 years. All our leaders of our departments should make the same amount of money.
Well, I don't agree that that's necessarily true either, but it's the only vehicle we have to sort of use right now with the current department heads, because many of them have been here a lot of years, and so, but that's dealing with those. Dealing with an 8% increase to achieve that, I don't think that's responsible.
Would you go with 4?
I could sooner go with 4 than 8.
Did you go with 12?
No.
7.5?
7.5.
You're not going to an auction with me anytime soon.
Well, I get into the idea that we're better. The difference between Aaron's job and Craig and Dick's job, as well as the fire department, is longevity. Aaron's been with the city, what, 15, 16 years?
17 in July.
Okay. I don't know how long Craig's been here, but I do know Dick is probably the longest one here, which is
Right, 40 years.
40 years.
41.
Okay. Chief's been what, chief for 8, 9 years?
No.
For
Huh?
4 or 5 years. 4 or 5.
Okay.
I've been
And-
in law enforcement for 38.
Okay, but anyway, I mean, you got to take that into consideration too.
And we
I
have,
do, I have to.
We have longevity pay
I know that.
built into the budget that takes into consideration the amount of time that employees have been here.
Right.
Using that reasoning, that each one of them have to have a different amount, because they're here at different times.
I said it's not really fair, it's the vehicle that we have.
So you say 4?
I suppose I could live with 4,
I'd go
and
with
then
4.
maybe next year we could go another 4.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't think it all has to be done in 1 year. He doesn't act like he's planning to leave, so.
It'd be $54,560.
54,560?
You know, let me run it one more time. Yes, sir. Are there any other line items the council would like to discuss?
First class patrolman, 24.4%.
That was for,
Danny?
that was with an additional officer.
I've got nothing else.
Any other members of the council? All right.
No, it's,
Dinner scheduled for 7. I'd like to do Superintendent Lyons first. Would the council just like Pizza Hut to be ordered? That'd be fine. What's that?
I'll be fine.
One cheese and 1 pepperoni?
It's fine by me.
All right. I think I've got some free pizza rewards too, so.
You better.
you don't order too much, but I've already had supper.
I'm gonna use the restroom.
Yeah, you're gonna do a short break.
Yeah, let's do a short break.
Long as you don't want to smoke a cigarette.
Yeah. You wanna go over there and line?
And I can fix your chair.
Okay.
You wanna give something to drink, or what are you doing?
Yeah, we can do
Bud
I
Light.
brought my.
Bud Light.
Give me one,
Okay,
Ow!
Oh boy, being back.
Front and center.
Yep, I'm telling you, they pass out those brownies. Just explain that $35,000 increase.
I'm gonna sit.
They gave you flowers and you're moving them?
Yeah, we're gonna move those up.
You sure you got enough paperwork?
I think so.
Okay, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, you?
Yeah, doing all right, doing all right, yeah. Yeah. trying to keep things together.
Yeah.
I'm trying anyway.
Yeah.
Turn the camera off.